Yeah. Let's see, are we going live yet? Oh, it's still. No, I felt really, even this morning, it just hurt. Every swallow, it just hurt like a bitch. It's like, fuck,
Yeah.
that hurts. But now it's better.
Yeah, that's
We
good.
already have 70 people in here before I even started it. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Welcome to Axel, Your More Power, Rory, who just became a member. Thank you, Rory. Your Emperor Iceblade, Luke Wayne is a Chad, AP3, Mason, Tyler, Spicy Raspberry, Papa Afro, all the normals in here. You love to see it. You really do. Okay,
Yeah.
so I've got my a Gotham Knight, formerly Five Nights at Freddy's Fans 3, XXLOL. The Bar, 999, Iceblade. Thank you guys all so much for joining. We're already over 100 viewers. Let's get some hype in the chat. Share the stream online. I am sharing right now so that everyone can know we are live. And I have my friend Jake Irgen here with me. Jake, how's life for you?
You know, if you'd have asked me that 2 days ago, I would have probably had a very different answer, but I am super hyped. I am doing so good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
This reveal really helped you with some stuff. And now you, I always enjoy seeing your tweets about your job. You,
Yeah.
Have you dealt with any Karens this week or?
Dude, so many. At my job, they're actually all named Tiffany. I have about 3 Tiffany's that come through every single day. It freaking sucks. And
no way.
yeah,
Tiffany's?
This reveal has like given me something to look forward to. Like, of course, I'm looking forward to like Spider-Man, Miles Morales, but even that's like a spin-off game. And so just having something to look forward to is really good. This has been like a crazy week for me where I had some screenplays get rejected that I was hoping would move forward a little bit better. And I've just had a lot that I've been dealing with. And it's not like I'm depressed or anything, but I was just kind of like, going through the motions. So to finally have this reveal and have something to do on the YouTube channel is really exciting.
Yeah, most definitely. And for everyone wondering what we're kind of doing today, you see I've got the Arkham channel. And actually, people have made this comment of just like, you don't own the Arkham channel's gameplay. I actually reached out to Arkham channel. He's a fellow co-founder of the Gotham Knights. I asked him, hey, do you mind if I use your gameplay in the background of my commentaries? He said that's totally fine. So there, now you have it.
Yeah, take that.
So, yeah, take that. So, and I figured he wouldn't. I mean, I'm just using his gameplay of like him driving in the Batmobile. Like, I don't know. I don't understand why everyone freaks out about that about sharing game. Like, if anyone used my gameplay in the background of their video, I wouldn't give a shit. Like, who cares?
Yeah,
it's just
I know,
it's just gameplay. I mean, I would be mad if somebody took my video, like copy and paste, and just uploaded it to their channel. That would make me upset if they're like my commentaries, and like they kept the title exactly the same or something.
I actually did have that once where they did text to speech, so it wasn't even them talking, it was like a robot. But they copied my videos word for word, and I totally called them out on it, and then they were like, I am so sorry, I will take them down immediately.
Dude, that is so funny. Oh, we already have donation of some kind or some. Oh, a $2 donation from Ryan Walton. I love the RL song. When will the squad what? I love the RL song. When will the Suicide Squad take place? Ryan, can you specify your comment? The RL song.
You don't have to do another super chat. Just
you don't have to do another super chat.
I'll watch the chat and
okay, good. By the way, guys, in the bottom left, you can see our membership goal. We're trying to hit 10 members by the end of this stream. We got 2 in the past stream. We're trying to get 8 in this stream. Goal by the end of the day is to get 10 new members. If you become a member for only $5 a month, you get a members-only video. So if you want another bonus commentary talking about Rocksteady Suicide Squad game, that comes out tomorrow. Only members get to watch the video. So really investing a lot of time, energy, and effort into that membership program. And I really appreciate tons of people have already joined. Tons of people are really enjoying it. And you can also pay $2 a month. You get emojis and badges, exclusive badges and emojis, and other great perks. Merch discounts also a part of that, and tons of other great benefits. So check the link in the description below. I will also put the link right here. It really does help support what I do. It allows me to stream multiple times a day instead of doing Postmates runs after my after work. It allows me to make videos instead, and I really appreciate all the support that comes there. Moreover, super chats. This is going to be similar to the last stream that I did, the last sort of a Batman wishlist stream I did, where we're going to go for about 30 minutes. It's just going to be Jake and I chatting, and we're going to be giving our reactions to the big news. We're going to be giving our thoughts, and we're basically, we'll be reading the chat intermittently, but I'm not going to be directly responding to the chat because this is also a show designed for people in YouTube VOD that are not a part of the stream, so we want everyone to feel a part. And then after about, 25, 30 minutes, something like that, then we're going to get into the Q&A. The Q&A is going to be organized, as it always is, with priority to members and super chatters. So send your super chats in. We will get the backlog going. And if you want to be sure to answer your question, we already have one from Pardeep Garcha. Thank you so much for the $2 Canadian. You will be the first question in the Q&A, my man. Really appreciate it. So Pardeep is first up in that Q&A segment there, and we will be getting to your question as soon as we are done with our opening monologue is a strong word, whatever, you know what I mean. Okay guys, so yeah, like I said, you can send the super chats in at any time. They're always going to be there, and I'll replay them too when we go to the super chat thing, so your name comes up on the center of the screen, and it's just a great way to support the stream. So I really appreciate all super chats and memberships, and let's try to hit that membership goal by the end of the stream. And we already have another $1 from Casey. Really appreciate it. Okay, so, you can hear the Rocket League soundtrack. Thank you so much for pointing that out. I didn't even think about that. Holy shit. I literally have that in the background here because I was going to play. Thank you so much for pointing out that comment before I literally was about to go full screen and not even notice it. Yeah. Okay, very good. So thank you for everyone who has already super chatted, and let's get right into the video. So, Jake, I'm very curious to know. We actually have not talked about this yet. We've been chatting on Twitter and whatnot. I want to know from a 1 to 10, 1 being disinterested, 10 being hyped out of your mind. You can't even wait. You can't even like unbelievable hype levels. Where are you at with Rocksteady Suicide Squad?
So honestly, I am going way overboard. I'm at a full 10 right now, and until
really,
so until they show me anything that my opinion might be leveled at some point. If they show the trailer and I'm like, that doesn't really look like my thing, then that might go lower. As of right now, I just have full confidence in Rocksteady and everything that they can do. And just the fact that they're tackling the Suicide Squad, I think that there's so much potential to evolve past the Arkham Knight formula. And there's so much they can add in terms of dual play and the shooting mechanics, and I don't know, and adding multiplayer. I think that there can be some really interesting components there as well. So I'm just really excited to see what they pull off, and I have total confidence that this is going to be a banger. I think it's going to be so good.
Yeah, and I'm curious to know, did you see Marcel's tweet? It kind of went semi-viral where he was talking about how he basically laid out the situation of like, Avengers, they've been developing this game for years, and it just so happens that on Friday, the first day of the beta, they dropped the announcement. Do you think there's anything to that? And do you think that that was an intentional marketing decision by Rocksteady to kind of overshadow? And not only that, I will say something that leads credence to that, I think. Is the fact that the games are going to be somewhat similar in terms of the models and the way that they work, in the sense that they're team-based games. They have multiplayer games as a service components. They have both a robust single-player story and also online multiplayer, as I said, games as a service esque models to them. And they involve many characters. You have gameplay for several different characters. In many ways, they seem pretty darn similar. So do you think that Marcel's analysis is correct there?
So I'm not sure if they are intending to compete with Avengers, but I will say there is no way in hell that they didn't know that was the day that they were doing the Avengers beta.
Right.
So even if like they've had this elaborate plan to drop that, they could have changed it. So they for sure, at the very least, what it says, if this isn't in competition with Avengers, is it at least shows they are not frightened by Avengers. They do not think that they will be overshadowed by Avengers, and I don't think they were. I mean, Suicide Squad was the talk of the town yesterday.
And that was crazy. And then Marcel had a follow-up picture to that tweet thread. And the top thread on Twitter yesterday was Suicide Squad. Even though people were playing Marvel's Avengers for the first time, even though, you can get Brie Larson, get a picture of Brie Larson playing the game, and whatever they want to do to market it, it is just not going to be on the level of a Rocksteady game. Because the fact of it is, we have a proven track record with Rocksteady. We don't really know what the quality of this game is going to look like. And I will say I've enjoyed playing the game so far, but it does get a little repetitive after a bit. Not only that, the characters don't play all that differently. Essentially, what I've noticed about the characters, and I don't want to delve too deep into this because this ultimately is kind of a separate discussion, and we're talking about Rocksteady Superman or Rocksteady's Suicide Squad game. But ultimately, I think that they basically have very similar controls, and then the animations are just different. So, for instance, with Hulk, if you throw an object at them, you take a piece of debris out of the ground and throw it, whereas with Thor, you throw your hammer. Whereas with Cap, you throw your shield. So it just kind of like changes what exactly the animation looks like, but the controls and the gameplay is pretty similar. Not that it's necessarily a bad thing, but it's just kind of something to note that is a little fishy. So that's one thing that we can get into talking about Rocksteady Suicide Squad, is that I think that one of the most important things you have to do with the game is really differentiate all these characters, where it's not just like, oh, the animation is the way you punch is slightly different if you're playing as Miss Marvel versus the Hulk. It needs to be like Harley Quinn is a totally separate character than Deadshot. And it only makes sense, right? Like Deadshot has a sniper rifle. He has handguns. He uses guns. He doesn't really use hand-to-hand combat in the same way that someone like Deathstroke would, or even someone like Harley Quinn. So he should play, like, I think that they should follow more of like an Overwatch model than an Avengers model. Overwatch meaning like, Deadshot is like the, I think her name is Widowmaker, I think is her name, the sniper girl, and then you have like other characters that they basically have totally different abilities, totally different animations and movesets, and it's not like Avengers where it's kind of like there's a different skin over the different combat, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm very curious to know how the gameplay evolves with that and what the game looks like. Now, I am also going to say, I do not anticipate that there is going to be any gameplay shown here at this next event.
Yeah,
I think
agree.
I think it's going to be a CGI trailer. What I do think, though, and this is my prediction, is that there will be gameplay for the new Batman game. I do think that there will be new Batman game gameplay, and that actually explains why they're being more quiet, because you think, well, Rocksteady announced first, so you might think that, oh, well, Suicide Squad is probably going to have gameplay and it's further along in development and closer to reveal. But I think what it actually is that W Montreal's marketing strategy is kind of like, we're going to shock you and basically come out and say, oh, by the way, a new Batman game comes out in 3.5 months. Surprise. And that's going to be their that's going to be their thing. And then people are going to go crazy.
Technically speaking, both of these games have been confirmed, because Warner Brothers Games Montreal actually has done pretty much the same thing as Rocksteady. It's just that their image was less interesting. Because with Rocksteady, I mean, they dropped a full-on Superman pic, whereas Warner Brothers Games Montreal like put some cryptic symbol and was like, capture the night. So technically, this Batman game has been announced, and it was announced earlier than Rocksteady's game. So there is that. It's just that Rocksteady actually confirmed what the game is rather than just like teasing some cryptic symbol or something. I actually said that exact thing in my latest video as well, of great. I don't think we're going to be seeing Suicide Squad gameplay, but I do think we're going to be seeing Batman gameplay. And the reason that I think that's the case is that if they show gameplay for both, it's going to put them in direct competition with each other. And they don't want to do that. I think what they want to do is show us this Batman game, get us really excited for the Batman game, but then also have this Suicide Squad game in the back of our minds. And they'll probably have some allusions and Easter eggs leading up to it in the Batman game, so that then when this Suicide Squad game really amps up on their marketing for the following year, I don't think we're going to wait super long for either game. Then they can really just jump into this new era of DC games. So I'm really excited for all that. I
think you make a great point. They don't want to self-cannibalize, so basically their strategy is release the games 1 year apart. We have the new Batman game in this November, and then 2021 November we have the new Suicide Squad game, and then we get to see that for the first time. I think that is basically, it's best for both parties. As you said, you don't want to release both, two AAA DC video games when there hasn't been one since Injustice 2, I suppose, in 2017. So, I guess going on 3 years ago now, 3.5 years ago. So you don't want to drop them both in the same month. Like, you want to spread them out to some extent. Even if that Suicide Squad game is ready, you don't want them to come out at the same time. So,
exactly.
Based upon that alone, we're going to see something of a staggered approach here. And I think that that is the best way forward for both studios. And it's a great way to make sure that everyone, the hype still exists. And like you said, our our focus really for the rest of the year is going to be on Batman, because we're basically going to get a CGI trailer for Rocksteady Suicide Squad game, and then not much else for the rest of the year. Probably nothing. We're probably going to get a 1-minute CGI trailer. So I'm just saying this to level everyone's expectations. What I think is going to happen is someone that's followed Warner Brothers and has come to know their shenanigans and their tactics quite well, following them and covering them for all these years. I might know them, better than most people, even in the industry. Yeah. What they're going to do is they're going to drop this CGI trailer. They're not going to say anything for the rest of the year, besides maybe a couple tweets from Sefton Hill or Gaz Deves that are kind of like teasing and cryptic or whatever. But in terms of trailers, in terms of like gameplay drops and stuff, not so much. What is going to happen, though, is this new Batman trailer is going to drop, and then they're going to go into Batman gameplay, and then they're going to say the game comes out in November, and then it's going to be rapid fire with the marketing for that game, because they only have 3.5 months to do what most games do. A game like The Last of Us will have a marketing campaign of about 2 to 2.5 years. So they're condensing a 2.5-year marketing campaign into 3 months. So it's literally going to be insane. It's going to be balls to the wall. Like every week there's a new, they're going to do the, what did they do? Those videos, community videos before Arkham Night. Arkham Insider, yeah. So they're going to do videos like that every single week, showing new portions of the game. It's just going to be like, you can't even believe it. I mean, it's going to be 5 years of silence, and then it'll go to like, I can't even keep up with how much information there is, which is going to be so refreshing.
It's going to be really fun.
It is. By the way, I'm not on my phone. I'm just pulling up because I heard we got a super chat, but I'm going full screen so everyone can watch the Arkham channel gameplay. I just want to be able to see what the super chat is. Thank you for the $1 from Pardeep. And of course, Pardeep is first in line in the Q&A. So send in your super chats and send in your questions if you'd like to be featured. And we have over 250 viewers. Thank you so much all for tuning in. So, I'm very interested to see what happens there. Regarding Suicide Squad itself, actually, let me pull up if I can. I'm going to pull up leaks that I saw. Did you see these plot leaks?
Yes. Is that the one where it's like everything that's going to be shown at Fandom or whatever?
Yeah. Well, no. Not that. This is actually Rocksteady's announced their Suicide Squad game. Leak includes Harry Potter. Oh, that's BS. There's no way Harry Potter's going to be there. There is a different one that I saw that could be more credible. It's first Rock's post Arkham. Okay, I can't seem to find it. I'll cover it in another video. But basically, they're saying like King Shark is playable, and like Enchantress is playable. No Poison Ivy, but they said Harley Quinn is playable, Deadshot, Deathstroke, couple other characters.
Yeah.
So, I'm very interested to see what all transpires there, and who is playable, and the villains. It'd also be very interesting to see if they basically do a better version of the Suicide Squad movie, where like the Joker is involved tangentially to the Justice League vs. Suicide Squad plot, and that's how it was supposed to be. For those of you unaware, in the final act of Suicide Squad, it was supposed to be the Suicide Squad versus Enchantress, and then the Joker was basically like sort of the third wheel, kind of in the final fight between them, and causing shenanigans somehow. I don't exactly know how, but that's why we want the air cut. But anyway, so there was some element there where the Joker was involved. I'm very curious to know if they could incorporate him in some way. And I think one question I have for you, Jake, would you like to see this game be in the Batman Arkham DC Comics universe, or would you like it to be in a totally new canon?
So for me personally, I am of the opinion that I think that there's still just so much potential in the Arkham universe. I think it would be a bit premature to say we're rebooting. At the same time, I think that there would be a lot more freedom if they said that they were rebooting. My one caveat is I want this to be in the same universe as the Gotham Knights game, because I think that would be a great opportunity to showcase a Batman game and then expand the lore in a way that the Arkham games never really did. So the only thing that I don't want is this game to like take place in the Rocksteady Arkham universe and then have the Gotham Knights game be like a full-on reboot and have these two like universes running in tandem with one another. I think that would be kind of bizarre. My preference is that it stay canon to the Arkham games, but and I don't know, maybe all of the Suicide Squad versus Justice League elements could take place after Batman's disappearance. Maybe that causes kind of this uprising in the criminal underworld of Gotham, and then the Justice League have to step in. So I think that there's a lot that they could do in regards to that. I also agree. I think it would actually be more interesting to see Joker in this game than in the Batman game, just because I think that there would be such a different dynamic than what we saw in the Batman Arkham games with Joker, where it was very personal to Batman. And I don't know. I just think it would be interesting, just as long as it's not like some plot twist where he's mind controlling the Justice League and he's the main villain again or something.
Who, the Joker?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be stupid.
Which, knowing Rocksteady, they they could
Okay, let me
they
ask
could
you
do something
this.
like that.
Let me ask you this. I've seen a lot of people saying that it's not actually Superman. In the poster, it's Bizarro.
Oh, it's
Have you
Superman.
heard that?
It's 100% Superman. Bizarro has
so,
blue
too.
laser vision.
Yeah.
I also don't think he's evil. I don't think he's corrupted. People keep pointing out the veins on his face. I think that's a creative decision where when he uses laser vision, his blood vessels are going to become prominent, which I think is a cool design choice. Now, obviously, I think these are answers we'll get after the CGI trailer. I think that we'll have an idea of what the Justice League is up to and what the Suicide Squad is up to. But I truthfully do not think they are going the evil Superman direction or Bizarro direction.
And also, I mean, I don't know how to say this subtly, but like, Bizarro is a very politically incorrect character. If you've read the comics and image, like, he literally, they portray him as like a mentally disabled Superman, where he like can't speak in full sentences and his word order he has a very basic vocab. It's just like, I don't think that's something they want to touch. Where it's like,
right,
the way that character is portrayed, it literally is very edgy and just like, he's a creation of his time. Yeah, we'll just say that. So I don't foresee them go. I mean, I don't know. And even I listened to Greg Miller today talking about how it's Bizarro. I think that this game would be a lot less interesting if they're fighting basically, what's the name of that team with Bizarro and Red Hood? The Outlaws. If it's basically Suicide Squad versus the Outlaws, because that contrast isn't there. Like, because, Bizarro and these other characters, basically like, Red Hood and these other characters who are like the evil versions of their main heroes, I guess. It's less interesting. That contrast that we want is, you're playing as the Suicide Squad, sort of building off of what they kind of, I guess, alluded to with The Last of Us 2, where you're playing as Abby, hunting down and trying to kill Ellie.
Right.
And that kind of like theme is very interesting, because we are playing as the Suicide Squad trying to kill Batman, and we're having a boss fight against Batman, and it's like, oh shit, do I want to do this? I don't know. I like Batman. But it's very interesting. Moreover, I also think that you explore the elements of like, well, does the Suicide Squad even want to do this, or is Amanda Waller just making them,
Yeah, I agree. One thing that I wanted to ask you kind of on that front, since we're talking about sort of the tone and the style of the game. So I know that you saw this as well, but Kim McAskill, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. She is the writer on this game, or one of the writers. And in a tweet, she said, "I can finally confirm that I was senior writer for years on Rocksteady's new Suicide Squad game. Get ready. It's funny." How do you feel about that sentiment? Because clearly that's going to be a tonal shift from the Batman Arkham games that were very serious and brooding, and now we're going to have these more comedic elements. Do you think that fits in the Suicide Squad, or do you think that they're kind of going in a direction that will come off as more cringy?
Well, it definitely fits. I mean, here's why.
I agree.
Look at Guardians of the Galaxy. Telltale developers, the video game Guardians of the Galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
Telltale developers were interviewed after, and they said that they were actually told by their CEO at Telltale Games to remove jokes from that game, Guardians of the Galaxy Season 1 from Telltale Games. There was no Season 2 because it was a fucking gigantic flop. I wonder why. I don't know. But the reason why is because they said, well, what works so well for us is these dark and gritty games like The Wolf Among Us, like Batman, not Batman, like The Walking Dead Season 1, and these other games in 2013, 2014 that were very, very successful for them. So what they thought was, well, we're just going to keep making dark and gritty games, and we're going to apply that same model to other heroes. So what they ended up doing is they made a dark and gritty version of Guardians of the Galaxy, where it wasn't funny. They were like, you need to remove all these jokes right now. This is bullshit. Like, we need to be like, Batman, or it needs to be like The Walking Dead or The Last of Us, or excuse me, not The Last of Us, like The Wolf Among Us. Thank you. So when you think about it like that, you realize, well, really, this is the next evolution for their brand, for Rocksteady, is to not take the Suicide Squad and try to make it match Arkham's tone. That would be a huge mistake, and they would be tempted to do that. And some people would say, well, this isn't what they're good at. This is not what they're used to doing. This is not blah, blah, blah. But when you're making a Suicide Squad game, you have to make a Suicide Squad game. You can't just, cop out on it and be like, well, it's going to be like a Suicide Squad game, but it's going to be like totally like an Arkham game. It's like, you can't do that. You've either got to go all in or all not. Of course it's going to be funny. It's the Suicide Squad. They are DC's Guardians of the Galaxy. They're a funny group. Harley Quinn is funny. Even these other characters that are very serious, like Deadshot, they're funny characters. They're comedic. They have a dark, dry sense of humor. So it is what it is. Yeah, and then you have characters like Katana and other characters that are not funny, and they have other purposes. But yeah, on the whole, excuse me, sorry. I'm sick. I'm still tired. It's that's really what we're dealing with, is that it is a dark and gritty universe with the Batman Arkham universe, and this is going to be something completely different. Yeah. So, there you have it.
Cool.
I'm also curious to know, do you have any characters in mind that you would like to see in the game? And in terms of the chat, I'm going to switch over to the chat now. We're going to blow this up full screen. Pop out chat. And here, I actually know what we're going to do. We're going to get the chat full screen here. Oh, this is perfect. We're going to get the chat full screen, and then we're going to get... Oh, shit, that doesn't work. And then we're going to get this gameplay, Arkham Channel's gameplay. Okay, good. Theater mode? Yeah, that works better. Okay, so, yes. Now, everyone, the chat is blown up full screen, so... Now everyone can see that, and we have Arkham Origins multiplayer gameplay presented by Arkham Channel. Also, Arkham Channel is in the chat. Thank you for joining. Okay, so what are some characters you would like to see in the game, and are there any characters you do not want to see?
Yeah, so for characters that I do want to see, and it's actually kind of interesting because when it comes to the Suicide Squad, I'll be the first to acknowledge, like, I have not done the same amount of research that I have for a character like Batman. And it's not that I dislike the Suicide Squad, or that I think that they're a lesser group. It's just that I've gravitated a lot to Batman. I know a lot about Batman and Superman. I know a little bit less about the Suicide Squad, but I love the core Harley Quinn, Deadshot. I know that some people have felt that Harley Quinn is very oversaturated. I think she is a phenomenal character, and sure, maybe she's being thrown into stuff too much, but I mean, I think the Harley Quinn animated show is hilarious. I think it's great. I liked Birds of Prey. I liked even Suicide Squad 2016. I thought it was an enjoyable mess. So I want to see kind of that core group. I would like to see them take on characters that will play differently from one another. So in other words, Harley Quinn has to, like you said, play very differently from Deadshot, but we could have Harley Quinn be a more melee combat fighter. And then you have Deadshot, who's more of a ranged protagonist that you have to use guns with. And then we could have a character like Killer Frost, who has these special abilities where she can freeze people. And then you have maybe Killer Croc or King Shark, who can brute charge people. And so those are kind of the main people that I want. I don't, there's a lot, like, I personally feel like you could probably interchange King Shark and Killer Croc. For each individual. In terms of characters that I don't necessarily want them to try and be super bizarre in terms of characters. Like, I don't want them to add in a character just for the sake of having like some D-list character, unless they play some integral parts of the story. I do think that it would be interesting to have characters with more abilities than, say, Batman, because clearly they aren't ready to do a Justice League game yet, because if they were, that we'd be getting a Justice League game. So I keep seeing people like, maybe we'll get to play as Superman. Nope, we're not. That's not going to be this game. That'll be something down the road. But if they are able to introduce a character like Cheetah, then you can start experimenting with some of those speed mechanics that you could potentially later integrate to a character like Reverse Flash or the Flash in a future game. But I don't know. I can't off the top of my head think of anyone that I don't want. I just don't want them to like throw in some crazy like, Condiment King for like kicks and giggles or something. Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, I feel you on that. I think that Harley Quinn, Deathstroke, Deadshot, and this is why it makes sense to connect it to the Batman Arkham games, because it's a logical jump to go from the Batman Arkham games to like, portraying that Harley Quinn. Now, one argument you could make, and I made this argument before, Harley Quinn in the Batman Arkham games is kind of incompetent. She's a bit of an idiot. I would like to see her be portrayed as more intelligent. I think that you don't need to retcon the Arkham games to do this.
Yeah.
Even if it just takes place after the events of Arkham Knight, right? So, like, Batman is gone. The Justice League is everyone minus Batman. And not only that, it's Harley Quinn, and she's learned a lot. She's matured a lot emotionally and in every other way. Through the death of Joker and after the events of Arkham Knight. And then also Deathstroke and Deadshot and these other characters are there, and they can share their experiences dealing with Batman. And I just love the idea that you can build upon the lore of the Batman Arkham games. Like, we can learn more about these characters and their experiences in the Batman Arkham games that we never got to see. Like those story DLC missions that were prequels to Arkham Asylum with Deathshot and Deathstroke and these other characters that we didn't really get to see. I mean, yes, we got origins and that type of thing, but there are tons of other characters that you could explore as well. So I'm very interested by that. I am. And I'm very curious to see what they can build upon in terms of the Batman Arkham games. And I think it'd be a huge mistake for them to abandon that. It would be a mistake. Like, because you have this world that everyone loves so much. Why not just build upon it, you know?
I agree, and everyone sort of recognizes Arkham as actually the most accurate mainstream interpretation of Batman. More accurate than any of the films, and even though they did some kind of off-the-wall bonkers stuff like killing off Joker, having Batman go out the way he did. And obviously in the comics we've seen Batman disappear, and we've kind of seen that story arc as well. But it was kind of an unprecedented way to do that in Arkham Knight, and to have his identity revealed to the world. They made some ballsy decisions, but the reason it worked was because they kept it so accurate to the comics. And I just kind of look at the idea of doing a reboot, and to me, yeah, I agree. It's kind of a wasted opportunity, because they're just going to establish another very accurate version of Batman that's very reminiscent of Arkham. And I feel like the argument that you can push for it is you can make 10 more games in this universe without even referencing any of the events of the other Arkham games. So I think that actually a soft narrative where and not have played any of the Arkham games, and technically it's still within the continuity of the Arkham games, but you won't feel lost, if that makes sense.
No, it does. It makes sense. And, you know, as you mentioned, it's not like, oh, you have to have played the other Arkham games to even understand this game. You know, it doesn't have to be like that. But you do want those subtle Easter eggs and teasers. And as I said, you know, imagine there's a Harley Quinn flashback scene just randomly, like 1/3 through the game. Just a random scene.
Yeah.
And then Mark Hamill's Joker comes on, you know, and it's like the Arkham Joker character design. We would all lose it. I mean, that would be so cool. And that's what I think is missing from the DCEU. In a sense, like with the MCU, we get a lot of stuff like that. We get a lot of scenes where these worlds kind of connect and intercept in many ways. And you know, I get the whole idea of like, oh, well, we're DC, we do the multiverse. We, you know, none of our stuff is canon and whatever. Wonder Woman 84 is like not canon. It's like, okay, whatever. But I think that fans really do like seeing those connections and their money that they invested and all their time, energy, and emotional effort to learning more about these characters in the Arkham universe. And if that carries over, I think that's just all the better. As long as they don't feel like they're being handcuffed by the Batman Arkham games, which I highly doubt they would feel that way.
Yeah.
So.
Well, unless they just want to reboot it to bring back Joker, which is a very real possibility.
Yeah, and then I wonder if the Joker is going to be in the box art of the game.
Yeah, he could be. I personally feel like, I don't know, I'm really sensing that there will be some attributes connected to the Joker in this game, just by the sole purpose that Harley Quinn is in the game. And you can't really give her any emotional depth without the Joker. And I don't know, that's maybe not necessarily true. But if you really want to explore her psyche, he is part of her origin. And so I really think that that's the direction that they're going to go, especially because I really feel like the one difference that they'll try to do with this game from their Arkham games is I think that they're really going to try to go full on with character development, because that's something that has kind of evolved since the time that Arkham Knight came out. A lot of games, like you mentioned The Last of Us 2, but also even with Spider-Man, they've gone really, the biggest evolution I think in games since Arkham Knight has been that games have become very cinematic, and they have really tried to add much more character development beyond just the gameplay. So I think that that's probably something that they're going to explore really heavily. So I will be interested to see how that connects. It will be interesting to see how they introduce all of these Justice League characters. And I don't know. I don't know if they're doing this game model to see which characters spark the most popularity, so that they know which game to make next.
Right.
I'm not exactly sure how they're going to do it. But even just looking at that poster, and we don't even have a good look at their Superman yet, but even just that, like the back of his cape and the curl in his hair and stuff. I mean, that's enough to get me super excited. And already, I mean, it almost looks like an Arkham City poster. Like if Superman was in Arkham City, that's almost, it looks like that's the poster that they would have gone with, and the design. And it's very clear that the design choices that they're going with are very consistent with that Arkham art style, which I'm very excited to see.
Right. So if I'm building this game from the ground up, and I'm curious to know, everyone in the chat, I will be reading the chat. I'm also playing Rocket League, and I'm talking and I'm reading the chat, but I'll try my best.
Right.
Also, we are about to get into the Q&A in probably 5 to 10 minutes, so everyone get your super chats in if you do want to be featured in the Q&A. We have a couple super chats already in the queue for that, so get yours in, and we will be sure to answer your question very thoroughly. Jake and I will. So, I think that one of the things that is interesting is, like, if I were building this game from the ground up, I actually would avoid until the very end of the game. I'd have the last boss fight of the game be the Suicide Squad versus all the Justice League together.
Yep.
But what I would maybe do first is actually have some type of system where you basically hunt down members of the Justice League one by one. So, like, we go to Themyscira and then we kill Wonder. Like, and imagine if we actually killed them too. Like,
right?
we go to Themyscira, and so basically the game opens and we're in prison. Basically, like, all the Suicide Squad is in prison.
Yeah, we're all in Belle Reve.
Exactly, we're all in Belle Reve. And then, we realize that, the Suicide Squad, all these members have been in there together for, like, I don't know, 7 months or something. Yeah. And, they're all bonding. They're, like, having, like, dinner together. They're actually, like, friends. And the Suicide Squad is already assembled or whatever. And you start with all this friendly banter, and you explore what life is like in Belle Reve for the first little bit of the game. And then, you build the plot. And it's like, okay, basically the new president that just got elected, or what, I don't know how you'd want to do it. Like, the new president that just got elected hates the Justice League and wants them all killed. So basically,
Lex Luthor.
Yeah, Lex Luthor, or however they want to do it. It doesn't really matter. But anyway, we need to kill the Justice League. So then you go one by one, and it's like, all right, well, let's do this. So person we're going to kill is Wonder Woman. So then you go to Themyscira, and Amanda Waller, like, hooks you up and puts you in Themyscira, and then you, like, find Wonder Woman, and then you kill her. And then like, thousands of the Themyscira, like, horse soldier people, like, come out and try to kill you, and then you've got to, like, get out, and then whatever, and then you go back to base, and then you escape somehow. And then next hour of the game, it's like, okay, we're gonna go kill Aquaman now, so we need to go to Atlantis. And then you go to Atlantis, and it's almost like a heist mission, because you're going, like, undercover into all these worlds, these vast, incredibly expensive worlds. And the other thing I like about this as a games as a service model is that you have those existing assets to build the characters and the worlds themselves through that.
Well, and honestly, I would also, just really brief segue, I would actually prefer that they do that, where they give you a bunch of small mini open worlds to explore, rather like I'd rather get 5 to 7 maps the size of Arkham City, and you can have one in Themyscira, and you can have one in Gotham, and you can have one in Metropolis, and just have these really limited areas, rather than have one big open world with this team, just because I don't know any of these Suicide Squad members that would be particularly great with traversal, much less trying to figure out a great traversal system for all of them. So I'd almost prefer they make smaller worlds that still have a lot to explore and a lot to do, but also give us a little bit more variety than just saying, oh, it's a Star City map 5 times the size of Arkham Knight, where it's more difficult to traverse, unless they go a GTA route, which could be cool as well. But yeah, continue with
Yeah, so, and then after that, after you kill, thank you for the $7 Canadian donation, Gabe. You are in line just behind all the a couple other people that asked super chats, but we will be sure to get to your question in the Q&A, man. We'll be getting there in just a second, and really appreciate the $7 Canadian. Yeah, so it's just I think that'd be so cool. And then like you get to go to Atlantis, you get to go to Themyscira, you get to go to, and then Gotham is already dead. And then it's like, oh, okay, now here's a really good idea. Then you're at the end of the game, and it's like, now we need you to kill Batman. And then you're like, wait, what? We thought he was dead. And then Amanda Waller's like, no, he's not. He's here. He's in like fucking Antarctica or some shit. Like who knows? Who knows where he is? I don't know. Yeah. Or I mean, realistically, he's probably in like Argentina or like some shit like that. All the conspiracy theories that like Hitler survived World War II and went to Argentina with all this. Okay, so it's like that's what Batman is. He's like hiding in some like sea fishing like third world city or whatever, and you go there and you just try to see where Batman is, and then you kill Batman. Like that would be so cool. And then the final boss fight is I don't know who it would be in that case. Maybe against the government, like the U.S. military, because then it's maybe you do exactly what Amanda Waller says, and then she's like, well, I'm still not going to let you free or something like that. And then there's some way that they set up some final boss fight where it's ultimately the Suicide Squad against Amanda Waller, and they realize that they've been used by Amanda Waller. They're like, well, I mean, you killed the Justice League, good job, but you guys are still really dangerous. And the president, if he didn't like the Justice League, then he definitely doesn't want you to be freed. So, so sorry, we lied to you about freeing you if you do what we said, and sucks for you. Thanks for killing the Justice League, though. So I think there's a lot of different interesting ways they could take that, and
it really is like, will this be like its own little self-contained meta story where you actually kill off the entire Justice League? Or I actually, thinking about Rocksteady, I really do feel like that I would not be surprised if like 3 hours into the game we see Harley Quinn like take a bat to the Flash's head or something, and just like this bonkers scene that's like, what the hell?
Right. And then you're like, oh great, so this game is connected to the Arkhamverse, and then you're like, oh shit, now the entire Justice League is dead in the Arkhamverse. Whoops. And
I feel like if they go that route, they're gonna have some kind of plot twist where it's like, oh, that was the Justice League from Earth 2 or something. There's gonna be some way that they write themselves out of that.
Well, they have to. I mean, because they're gonna make a Justice League game.
Yeah. This is a prototype Justice League game, if we're being honest. That's what this is.
True. It is because they're basically testing. Oh, well, how does having all these different gameplay mechanics, and we're basically just testing them on lesser power characters that are less powerful. So therefore, it's easier to implement, because if the characters are too OP, it's just impossible. I mean, it's just way too challenging. So, but I'm so excited for this game, and I really can't wait to see what they do with it. I'm curious to know. In the comments, be sure to let me know what you guys think about it. And
one other thing that I will say is that I think Batman will be cross-gen. If I'm being 100% honest, I do think that it will likely come out this year. I've seen some people say like, oh, Spider-Man would kill it. Dude, there is no way. Miles Morales devs would be like covering their asses in terror if Batman showed up and was like, I'm coming out in November. He would, whenever Batman drops, he's going to sell. He's not going to be overshadowed by Cyberpunk. And you even have to look at the past. In 2015, 2013, 2011, there were tons of games coming out the same time Batman was too. And so you can make the argument like, well, they should wait. There's no good time to wait. There's always going to be new games coming out, and putting it out in November with stiff competition is actually generally better than releasing it like early in 2021, just because that's when kids are going to ask for it for Christmas. That's when, worst case scenario, I think because of COVID, it could get pushed back to early 2021. Then, that'll be cross-gen just because that's, I think, what they've been developing it on. Suicide Squad, I think, is going to be exclusive to PS5 and Xbox Series X. And I don't have proof for that. I just really think, actually, I do think Rocksteady announced a long time ago that they had the PS5 dev kit. So I think that there's a good chance that they've been building this game from the ground up and really experimenting with how to push this engine forward. And we have to keep in mind that Arkham Knight wasn't even made on the Unreal Engine 4 version of that engine. That was still Unreal 3. So we're going to be looking at Unreal 4 and potentially, they could port the Suicide Squad to Unreal 5 if they wanted to, because they said it's compatible. So I mean, Arkham Knight still holds up graphically, but it's going to be insane to see 5 years evolution of that same system, it's going to look so good, and I think it's going to play so good. So I'm very excited.
I mean, that's the thing is Arkham Knight is such a beautiful game as it is, and that's a last gen game. And then when you look at what this game is going to look like, I mean, it's going to be beautiful. I cannot wait to see that. And I just think the possibilities really are endless. And when I think about it more, when I really think about it more, if they do it right, I think that this game could be more hype and exciting than a Superman game. Because the thing about a Superman game is, it's
especially in the mainstream.
Yes, exactly. And here's two reasons that I say that. One is a Superman game has to be fairly cut and dry. Now, Rocksteady got away with killing the Joker, but if you notice, there's not a lot else that they got away with. Like, it's still pretty vanilla of like a Batman take that's pretty in line with the animated series. It's pretty in line with these other things, and that's because Warner Brothers has a huge vested interest in maintaining the brand integrity of Batman, Superman, even Wonder Woman, and characters like that. Whereas, with Deadshot, they don't give a shit what you do with him. Like they don't care. You want Will Smith to play him? Sure. Who gives a shit? I mean, no, they don't care. So that's one thing about it. And yes, they were able to get away with killing the Joker, but typically you're not going to get away with very much. So my point being is, like, if we did get a Superman trilogy, the first game is going to be like, okay, Lex Luthor's the villain. It's basically going to be like, and even with Spider-Man PS4, I felt that it was kind of like vanilla. Is that the right word to say?
I felt like it was poorly paced, but yes.
It was poorly paced, but it was just also kind of generic. It was kind of generic, and I think that this is a great way to mix up the superhero video game formula. That's really what I think. This is going to be such a fresh take on superhero video games. And as I said, if they do the right things and they build the DC universe and they make this like a large world that we're building on, it really can be great. It really can be.
Right. And in all honesty, I would love a Superman game. I think that might potentially, if they did it right, that could be the best DC superhero game to ever be made. The thing is, I look at Rocksteady and I love them to death, but are they really big enough to make a full-on Superman game? Even Arkham Knight kind of suffered from AGLs, and they were trying to make this game that arguably was bigger than it actually was. They had this map that was big, but I mean, the thing is, it was comparable to a lot of other 2015 games, and I'm not trying to discredit how great the game really is, but honestly, I felt like a lot of that game was them trying to lengthen the story so that it was comparable to the other AAA games that were releasing that year. And there were a lot of side missions that were very repetitive, that were, I'm sure, very easy to throw together. Just so they could have a lot of quantity. And that's not necessarily what I'd want for a Superman game. And I just feel like the Suicide Squad is a perfect IP for Rocksteady to tackle. It's perfect in scale and scope and tone. And from gameplay, you look at the dual play system and, again, the shooting mechanics that they had with the Batmobile, and those are all things that you can build off of for Suicide Squad. Whereas with Superman, you'd have to do a complete reinvention of their whole gameplay model. And that's not to say that they couldn't do it or that they couldn't find a way to do a Superman game. I'm just saying that I feel like the Suicide Squad is a much more natural progression for them.
Well, right, and you have the building blocks of, Harley Quinn gameplay and also combat gameplay. So I imagine that the free flow combat, I think the free flow combat is basically just their landmark type of gameplay. That's like, it's basically what they're going to use in all their future games. Is that free flow combat system, because it's literally been ripped off by everyone and their mother in the gaming industry. Right. Everybody uses free flow combat now, whereas it wasn't even a thing before. So, keeping those things in mind, basically, like you said, I mean, Superman, it would just take so long. I mean, I just think back to that story in Arkham Asylum. That guy spent 2 years where his only job was developing the cape mechanics. Now imagine how complicated that. What's up?
It would have to be. I said you'd have to have a team like Rockstar or someone making that studio.
How big is Rockstar
making that game? I'm not sure how big they are. I just know that. I mean, you look at GTA and Red Dead 2, and those are games that I think in scope they could make a Superman game with. Let me actually see really quick though.
Hey, thank you for the £5 donation, Scott Lloyd. What Suicide Squad members do you want to show up in the game? We will be getting to that question in just a little bit. There's a couple questions before you, and sorry I'm keeping all of you waiting. We have a lot of super chats in line, so I apologize about that. We'll be getting give me like 2 minutes, 3 minutes.
Yeah, so this is all on Rockstar. So it looks like number of employees in 2018, and this doesn't mean they're all working on the same projects, but it looks like they have 2,000 employees.
2,000?
Yeah, 2,000 employees. That doesn't mean they're all game devs. I think that that's literally every single one of their studios, but still, I mean, that is a huge, like, you would need it. And you look at a game like Red Dead 2, and yes, it's a huge game. I do think that they could make a Superman game on the same scope as like Red Dead 2. But I don't think Rocksteady, which is like 200 devs at this point, I think it would need to be bigger. Just as somebody who has very limited experience in Unreal 4, making games is very difficult. Rocksteady, I do think, could do it, but I think it would take them a decade. I think it would take them forever to make it.
That's the other thing that people don't think about is instead of 7 years, this Suicide Squad game took 7 years. And yes, it's expansive. It's games as a service. It's this huge thing. You've got expensive voice actors, Suicide Squad versus the Justice League characters involved, voice actors for those, so that's crazy. I mean, there's a lot going on there. And that took them 7 years. But then imagine that you have, a Superman game with an open world metropolis. Superman can fly at infinite speeds. So
that would have to be bigger than 5 times the size of Arkham Knight. That would have to be like 15 times the size of Arkham Knight if they wanted to do it right.
Try like 500.
Right.
I mean, realistically, Batman moves at the speed of a human. Superman flies at the speed of sound. There's no way that you can explain an open world that is even remotely the size of Batman Arkham. It literally has to be GTA, or it makes no sense. Right. Because even a GTA map is going to seem medium sized when you can fly as fast as Superman flies. You can traverse across downtown Hollywood into the valley in 15 seconds. So the world has to be incredibly expansive to even work on any type of level.
Seriously.
So I say all of that to say, to make a Superman game, it would be such a gigantic challenge. Rocksteady would have to increase the size of their studio. Think about it. Arkham Asylum was developed with 90 people. Okay. Arkham Knight was developed, I think, on 200. And now I
think it was like 150 or so.
150? That's nothing. Yeah. That is nothing.
Yeah, and it took them 4 years. I mean,
it took them 4 years, which is impressive. Even Arkham City with 125 at 2.5. I mean, that's incredibly impressive. Okay, so those guys and gals put in so much overtime. I know that they did to get that out in the time that they did. So, putting all of that aside, I really think that there is almost no way that a Superman game could be made unless they hired on hundreds and hundreds, maybe even 1,000 employees, which is just, insurmountable to even conceive. And then you've got to wonder if the ROI is even worth it because, we can make this Batman game with 300 employees, or we can make a Superman game with 2,000, and the Batman game might sell more, And it's just crazy. But I mean, that's the reality of the business.
So I do think they will invest in a Superman game, but not until they have evidence that he's justifiable to make a game for, because that is going to be a huge undertaking, tons of resources, tons of employees. And I mean, they're probably looking at the box office like, Man of Steel and BVS didn't break $1 billion. So why would we invest that much money into a game that we don't even know will sell? So,
right. Whereas they have Batman, they have that track record and they know, okay, this is $1 billion IP that we have here. Whereas Superman, yes, he's iconic and recognizable. He is the second most recognizable symbol in the world behind the McDonald's arch. So everyone around the world knows who Superman is. You can go to any country in the world, doesn't matter what language they speak, they know who Superman is. He's an incredibly iconic and recognizable character. But that doesn't mean that beyond buying a Superman shirt that people are going to, whatever, are necessarily anything beyond bandwagon fans of the character. So, yes, and I don't say this to doubt whether a Superman game would perform well. I think it would perform extremely well, but just from their perspective, this is the way they're looking at it. Is they're looking at it as like, oh, well, I don't know if this is something that we want to do. Yeah. Okay, guys. Thank you, everyone who has submitted a Super Chat so far. We are now going to get into the backlog of Super Chats that we do have, and I encourage you to send in your questions if you would like to have them answered. Let me go through here and cycle through and see what we have here. Okay, this is the thing here. Okay, that was 4 hours ago. That was from the last stream. $2 from Ryan Walton is the first donation we had. I'm going to replay that here. I love the RL Rocket League. That's what he's saying.
Yeah.
RL song. I love the Rocket League song. When will Suicide Squad take place? Oh, his question was, when will Suicide Squad take place? So that's a great question. We touched on a little bit of what we want to see. I think there's a difference between what we want to see, which is, yes, we want it to be a sequel to Arkham Knight. I also could see this being a game that takes place between the events of Asylum and City, before Asylum, after City. It actually could take place at any time.
Yeah, I agree.
It actually could take place at any time. It could be totally separate from the DC universe or the Batman Arkham universe, which would be lame. Hopefully that's not the case.
I'd get over it quickly. I'll say that. I'd get over it quickly. I'd be like, okay, whatever, I'll get into this new universe. But yeah, it would be a bummer initially.
It would be, because we want to see Arkham build upon this universe, or Rocksteady build upon the universe that they built. It's so good. It's so rich with lore. And then imagine we go to Belle Reve and it's like Aaron Cash is there, you know? Like, that would be so cool. That would be so cool.
Yeah.
Fans would fucking freak, because it's not even like Aaron Cash is like the best character ever in the world, but it literally is just like
that recognition.
Exactly. It's that recognition of just like, okay, Rocksteady knows what they have here. They know that they've really built something incredible, and they're leaning into it a little bit, almost in like a meme type of way. So I would love to see an Aaron Cash guard at Belle Reve. I'd love to see those things. So to answer your question though, I don't know. I really don't know, Ryan. I don't know which direction they're going to take it. I do foresee, and I like my idea. I mean, just self-aggrandizing. I love my idea. But I really do like my idea of basically you kill the entire Justice League, and it's like the Deadpool comic. Deadpool kills the Avengers. Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe. I don't know if you guys have read that comic, but Deadpool literally kills like everybody. And it's funny. And that's kind of, I think, the direction they're taking this is a comedic direction. So one direction they could take it is, this is actually a comedic game where you're killing the entire Justice League, and it's kind of funny. It's kind of amusing in a sense. And you kill Wonder Woman, you kill Superman, you kill the Flash, and you kill Superman last, and you're like, oh god, that was really difficult. I mean, that was really hard to kill Superman. And then you finally do it, and then it's like, no, actually, Amanda Waller's like, no, you need to kill Batman. And then everyone's like, what? Batman's dead. Remember Nightfall Protocol? Is Wayne Manor blew up? He's like, nope, I know where he is. He's right here. You need to go kill him. His guard is down. He's like this disheveled old man in like a cane and a walker and, whatever. And he's been off the radar for 5 years, and you need to go there. And then you go there, and then maybe like Nightwing and Robin show up, and you have to fight them and whatever. Like, there's so many different directions they could take that. So my point being, Ryan, I hope it takes place after Arkham Knight, but no one knows. And I think that even if it is before Knight, even if it's before City Asylum, anywhere in the Arkham universe, they can make it work, and I'd be fine with it. I just do hope it's in the Arkham universe. What do you think, Jake?
Yeah, so I think, knowing Rocksteady, if it was up to them, and I kind of, this is my one concern, is I feel like this is potentially a mandated direction where Warner Brothers is saying, hey, we want this to be an organized game universe, so we're going to assign you to do it this way. I really hope that they've given Rocksteady a lot of creative freedom. Now, with the premise of killing the Justice League, I do think that there at least is Rocksteady going off what they want to do. My guess is it would probably be a sequel to Arkham Knight, just because that's, again, the progression of their story. And it's kind of interesting because then they would get to make a sequel to Arkham Knight that is not a Batman game. So in a sense, you still get that very recognizable progression of story, but you also get something very fresh. And I just think that this is something that Rocksteady would do very well. I would love to see a follow-up to the events of Arkham Knight. With that said, I also wouldn't mind seeing it take place before Arkham Asylum, maybe start filling that gap a little bit. If it's a new universe, they'll have a lot more freedom. If that's the case, I think it will take place after the Batman Gotham Knights game. So I am interested to see when it will take place. If it was up to me, I'd set it after Arkham Knight. I think that that's a good opportunity for Amanda Waller to try and justify a Suicide Squad. Like, oh, Batman's gone, so let's get the whole squad going to protect the world. And then you can have them clash with the Justice League and then eventually Batman. So I agree with that.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, Ryan, thank you for your question. Next super chatter is Pardeep Garcha. Thank you for the $2, 2 Canadian dollars, and he also donated $1. After that, without a comment, Pardeep said, "Hey Slick, do you think Suicide Squad will be an open world game?" I personally do. I do think it's going to be an open world game. I think that we also just got another $5 from Ryan. Thank you for that $5, Ryan. We'll be getting to that in just a second. Pardeep, I do think it's going to be an open world game. As I said kind of a little earlier, I do think it's going to be basically like story and multiplayer. So it's going to be a very unique thing for Rocksteady, because typically they've had story and combat missions, like challenge missions, challenge mode, that type of thing. This is going to be a bit different. I think it's going to be more like online multiplayer where you can team up with your friends. But think about it. Like, you know, Jake, you, me, Salvo, Arkham channel, whatever, we can hop on and like, oh, I can play as Harley, you can play as Deadshot, one can play as Deathstroke, and imagine like Killer Croc kind of playing like Hulk. And as I said, if they do it well and all these characters play very differently, then it would be a lot of fun. It would be so much fun. And especially if it's not like a typical Destiny loot 'em game. And kind of what we said with the side missions, right? It's all about quality, not quantity. We don't want filler loot missions where we like go around and loot shit and you know, pick stuff up. We really want sort of
where it's like, oh, you want to fight Superman? Well, you better get your Enchantress to level 23.
Yeah, exactly. So we do not want that at all. And if they do it well, it's going to be great. So I don't want people to worry. Like, as Pardeep, I think that part of your question, and I don't mean to read into it too much, but I think some people might be like, oh, well, it's a bad thing if it's open world. It's not a bad thing. Open world games are not inherently a bad thing. They're rarely done well. And even with Avengers, they've done a good job, and they've improved upon a lot of what Destiny's done. And I think that if Rocksteady has that awareness that they are not an open world MMO game studio. They've never made those games. It's never been their bread and butter. So this is going to be a game with a robust and fantastic story. And not only that, it is going to feature robust and great missions for you to play with your friends that are co-op online. So I'm super excited for that. Spicy Raspberry, a member, says, Q&A, what would it take for a follow back on Twitter? It's 5 a.m. here, by the way. Spicy Raspberry. It's a tough task to get followed by Slickmoth. You know,
$20 really you gotta pay the piper.
You know, I don't follow many people, but I'm very intentional about who I follow, because I also want to make sure that I follow people that we're kind of in the same universe. We talk about the same things, and I can retweet them a lot. So I don't follow people that are just like, and not saying you are or not. You know, I've seen your tweets obviously for a long time, and you know, you followed me for a long time. But I am very intentional about who I follow. Also, I've had some cases where like I follow people and like they get the wrong idea that we're like best friends after I follow them.
I have that all the time. It kills me.
I know, and I'm just like, you know, I just trying to like retweet you a couple times. I wasn't trying to, you know, like talk to you every day.
That's your best friend. Yeah,
exactly. And that's not a subtweet at anyone in particular. It's just a general thing of just like, you know, if I never talk to you, like just because I follow, you know what I mean? But I'm a very friendly person. Don't get me wrong. I'm not like, oh, don't talk to me.
Here's what it comes down to is that for me personally, I can't speak for anyone else. I'm very busy. I already have in real life friends. I'm already collaborating with people. I'm already like working on building another career, and I have a job. Like, I don't have time to sit in DMs all day and talk to everyone who wants to talk to me. So it's nothing personal. It's just, I don't know a lot of you guys very well. And so I don't have that time or that energy to respond to everybody. So it's not personal. It's just the way things are. And yeah, it's unfortunate. Like, I wish I could interact with everybody. The fact is I can't.
Yeah, and Jake is a bit of a celebrity, but I mean, I am. I do like. I try to be very interactive on Twitter in my comments and such, except for that one video that got dislike bombed. I have not read like any of the comments on it. Dude, I just totally ignored it.
I did turn off comments on my video where Evan, Falarka, and Dustin and I all like ripped into Avengers. I was getting so much hate in the comments, so I just turned them off.
And it's so funny that that Marcel has gotten so much hate.
Yeah,
like it's I don't know. It's kind of weird. I mean, I'm waiting for the Batman community to turn on me too. So it'll be very fun when that happens. So because it's also one of those things like I don't know. My channel really blew up because I was a critic of the Arkham Knight DLC. Like, there were all these YouTubers that like all the existing Batman Arkham YouTubers had basically sold out to Rocksteady. They were like shilling for them hardcore. And then the night when DLC came out, it was terrible. And they're like, well, it's okay. Better luck next time, Rocksteady. And then I was like, this is a scam. Give me my money back, Sefton Hill, you fuck. So that was like my whole thing. And everyone loved it. Everyone was like, this guy is great. I mean, he really, is very honest. Whereas all these other YouTubers are like, well, it's okay, guys. Like, it's just $40. Don't worry about it. And I was like,
8 out of 10.
And
I was
kind
of disappointing. 8 out of 10.
I was like a 16-year-old kid. I was like, this is $40. This is all the money I had. You fuckers. So, like, why is this story DLC only 10 minutes? God damn it. Yeah. So, anyway, I am very intentional about that. Like, I don't know. I guess I want people to like me. Whatever. I do care about that. And I guess that's why, like, when I don't read the thing about not reading the comments is that I do care if, like, any of my followers, people that have followed me for years, have any negative feedback. But when it's literally just people that are like in the YouTube algorithm that don't even watch my videos, that are just coming in and be like, you suck, this is stupid, quit YouTube. And I've never even heard of them before. I'm just like, I don't care what you have to say, to be honest. So, okay, next question. Thank you, Pardeep and Ryan Walton, for the donations. We've got a lot to get to here. Send in your super chats if you haven't already. Casey sends in 99 cents. Thank you for the 99 cents. Pardeep Garcha sends in another $1, Canadian dollar. Thank you for sending that as well, sir. Gabe, super chat, 7 Canadian dollars. Thank you for the $7, Gabe. Do you think the game was saved because of Justice League? For me personally, I wouldn't be as interested in a Suicide Squad game by itself. Hype. Gabe, I actually agree with you. I do. I think you make a good point. If it's, once again, this is the biggest mistake with the Suicide Squad movie, is that the Suicide Squad is not enough to carry. We need to see Suicide Squad versus Joker, Suicide Squad versus Justice League, Suicide Squad versus Batman. Most interesting scenes in the movie were when Batman takes down Deadshot, when Batman takes down the Joker and Harley Quinn, and of course those scenes were resorted to a fucking the movie was edited by it was into a sizzle reel. It was actually edited by a music video company that makes like music videos and edits trailers. So the movie was edited like a trailer. In fact, the trailers from Comic-Con were better edited than that movie. I mean, it's crazy. It was really, really weird how they cut the film, and that was all Jeff Johns. Jeff Johns.
Well, let's put it this way. There's a reason that the first image that we got for the Suicide Squad game is Superman. That's all I think we need to even say to respond to this question. There's a reason that they did not just promote this as a Suicide Squad game. There's a reason that they chose Justice League as the antagonists. And it's because if you just put Suicide Squad as a game, people are inherently going to be split on it. They're going to be like, is this going to be a flop? Is this going to be okay? If you're marketing Superman and Wonder Woman and The Flash and Batman, this is a must buy. Like, period.
Exactly. And, I completely agree. And that's really what you've got to consider, is that this is it's a marketing play, but it also is, I think, going to be best for the story. It's going to be best for our interest in the game. And like you said, if it's like, oh yeah, we're Suicide Squad and the final boss fight is, I guess, Enchantress. Oh shit. Like,
right.
Suicide Squad, the movie game, like, no one wants that. But it's like, oh yeah, we're trying to kill Superman and we get to see Superman in a video game. Oh, okay. You have my interest. So yeah, there it is. Okay, Gabe, thank you for the 7 Canadian dollars. Thank you for that super chat. And sorry, you asked that 30 minutes ago. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get caught up here. We're working on it. Okay, Scott Lloyd with a €5 super chat. He says, what Suicide Squad members do you hope to show up in the game? We touched on this briefly, but for me personally, I would really like to see the Suicide Squad has always been a very Batman heavy rogues gallery list, and that's because Batman has the best rogues gallery in comics. So, he's going to have Deadshot, Deathstroke, Harley Quinn, and then that's just the beginning of it. And then you can also get into Killer Croc as well, who I also would like to see. So that's 4. Typically, the team has 6 members, so I'm gonna go ahead and say Killer Frost. I'm gonna say Killer Frost for sure. Maybe King Shark, maybe a Flash villain.
You know who would be cool?
Who?
I just thought of this. Katana.
Yeah, would be cool.
That would be interesting.
Because I think what they're also looking for is characters that are differentiated in gameplay. So you
Yep.
don't just want, Harley Quinn has her bat, Deadshot has a sniper rifle and guns, but we don't want like a bunch of people with guns. So that's why we have Killer Croc. He's kind of like a brute. So you've got to differentiate the gameplay. And that also makes it more, when you are doing co-op missions with your friends, it makes it more important to differentiate your gameplay. And like, okay, well, one person is Killer Croc, who's kind of like a bullet sponge, and he can tank damage, but he doesn't do as much damage. And then you have Deadshot, who's high damage. So as I said, I would resemble something closer to Overwatch than Marvel's Avengers, but I think they're on the right path with that.
I think it will be interesting to see, because for me personally, I don't really care so much about the roster personally. I think that they'll do great with whatever characters they choose. But I think that what will be interesting is how they will do it for multiplayer, like you said, but also single player. How will they integrate the dual play? I know that we've talked about how they could replace Batmobile-assisted takedowns and certain gadgets with Suicide Squad members. And I think it would be so interesting if you were in a room, and rather than, like with Batman, you have like the cape stun, and you have the guys with shields and the guys with electric wands, and you have the guys you have all these different enemy types. It would be interesting if instead of having one guy where you have different moves to take each of them out, if you had to essentially utilize the entire squad through dual play and special takedowns to clear a room. I just think it would be so interesting to have a room of like 20 guys that you're essentially controlling 6 characters at once to take them all out with. So I don't know how they're going to pull it off, but I am really excited.
Yeah, most definitely. Okay, next super chat is from Ryan Walton, $5. He says, I love that idea, but what if they kill Alfred to get him to go... wait, what? I love that idea. Oh, I think he's talking about the idea of killing Batman. But what if they kill Alfred to get to him rather than just him? Yes, Ryan, that's also an interesting idea. I mean, you could actually need to... Since Batman would be the final boss of the game, you're basically probably at some point going to track down Nightwing or Robin or these other characters, and they also don't really know where he is. So Amanda Waller's the only one that knows, truthfully.
Yep.
But you could kind of like track down Alfred, Nightwing, and follow up on these Arkham versions of these characters. I think that would be very interesting to basically find them, try to follow them, and figure out what's going on and why they are that way, and why they're doing what they're doing, and what they've been up to since the events of Batman Arkham Knight, and all of that I think would be very interesting to kind of follow.
Yeah.
So I don't really know if that's the direction they're going to take. I just hope that it's not like, oh, the government hacked Superman and he's evil now. It's so lazy. It's so stupid. It should rather be that like the Justice League is doing their thing. Batman is dead after the events of Batman Arkham Knight, dead, quote unquote. And allegedly dead. And that could be like a looming mystery of the game where they could actually wrap up the events of Arkham Knight, because Batman, The Dark Knight Rises, I think actually did it better. With that
I would agree.
Yep. Like, it really wasn't very good in Arkham Knight. I wasn't really like, oh my God, I wonder where he is. And like, it just wasn't fulfilling. The other thing that I noticed is that, that I think made it feel more fulfilling is that in The Dark Knight Rises, at the ending, basically they allude to the fact that, Batman and Alfred, they're hanging out together in whatever country they're in, and it's like Catwoman. It's like a happy ending because it's Bruce Wayne, and he's basically left his past life. He saved Gotham. He saved the city, blah, blah, blah. And he's hanging out, having, dinner with Catwoman, and then Alfred is across the table. He's hanging out with Alfred. Like, they're all living together in this remote city, probably, like I said, in, like, Brazil or, some country like that, or, some Eastern European country. They're just chilling, living their best life, and it's a happy ending. And in Arkham Knight, it's like, we don't really, Nightwing and Robin and these other characters, they really don't know where he is. He didn't like, tell them. So it's not a happy ending, and presumably Batman is with Alfred and has been this whole time, which would be somewhat of a happy ending if he's been spending this whole time with Alfred. But it's just kind of like, oh, why doesn't Nightwing... I guess I understand. It's like he doesn't want to hurt them, so he doesn't want them to know, blah, blah, blah. But I don't know. I just think it's...
Well, actually, so I was listening to a video recently that I thought was actually... it was a take that I hadn't heard. So they were like... Okay, so the visual cue at the very final shot of the game is Nightmare Batman attacking thugs, and it's actually the exact same visual of what he looked like when Scarecrow saw him through the fear toxin. And so their take on this ending is that Batman has and this is what I just realized when you were talking about The Dark Knight Rises. In The Dark Knight Rises, he kills off Batman to become Bruce Wayne, but at the end of Arkham Knight, he kills off Bruce Wayne so that he can become the legend of Batman completely. And so I feel like it needs another game in order to actually resonate, because I feel like the ending of Arkham Knight is a little bit too open-ended to really come to that conclusion. But that really is a direction that we haven't seen much. I mean, imagine a game where Batman is using a variant of Scarecrow's fear toxin, and he's hiding in the shadows, and he's acting like he's a ghost, basically. I think that would be such a great direction for them to take it.
Yeah, most definitely. And there's a lot to explore after the events of Batman Arkham Knight. I mean, as I said, it's not done very well. And even that follow-up DLC with the Robin DLC. And
that was so bad.
I mean, it was so stupid, because they had an opportunity to really have like a true epilogue, 2-hour story DLC, where it's like the Bat family coping with this, and you could even have some teaser at the end of it alluding to where Bruce is or what have you. And the weird thing is that I can't even tell what they were trying to do with it. I can't tell if they were trying to make it like a 50, like, is he alive? Is he not? I don't know, because it's clear he was alive, but they never had that payoff. Like in The Dark Knight Rises, they had that payoff where they showed, oh yeah, he's alive. Duh. Like, I mean, we kind of knew that, but now we really know. And we know not only that, he's living happily with Selina and Alfred. So they had that built-in sort of development there, whereas Arkham Knight had the same ending, except they excluded the payoff. So they tried to frame it as some sort of mystery as to what really happened to him, when we kind of know, but then it's not fulfilling because they didn't have the payoff. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So I don't know. That's my 2 cents on it. Okay, we have another super chat from Gabe, 279 Canadian dollars. Thank you so much, Gabe, for sending in another super chat. It is really appreciated. It really helps support the stream, and it helps us do what I do here, and it allows me to stream multiple times every single day and bring you guys consistent new content. So I really, really appreciate all the super chats and donations, even $2-3. They're greatly appreciated, and of course, I try to reward them as much as possible. I try to reward your support by answering your question and devoting time to answering your questions in the stream. So Gabe asks, do you think that we'll be playing as the Justice League in some parts? This is a great question from Gabe. Do you think that we'll be playing as the Justice League in some parts of the game? I will let you lead off with that question. I've seen Greg Miller and others address it. I'm curious to know what you think.
Yeah, so sorry, can you repeat that? Like, I got it, but yeah.
Yeah. He says, do you think that we will play as the Justice League, characters of the Justice League, like Batman, Superman, Flash? Are we going to be playing as some of those characters in some parts of the game?
Yeah, sorry. No, I get that.
Yeah.
So, I don't. And the reason is because if we would, they'd be making a Justice League game. There's a reason that they aren't doing that. There's a reason that they're doing a slightly less powerful team. And if they were going to make the Justice League playable, they would have to be on par for multiplayer purposes. They would have to be on par from a power level as this Suicide Squad, which just isn't them. The Justice League is obviously far more powerful than the Suicide Squad. So I think, like a previous question, where did Justice League save the marketing of this game? And the answer is yeah. The reason that they pulled them in, I think, is mainly for marketing, and also because it's a really great story that you can tell.
Right.
But if they could make a playable Superman and Wonder Woman and Flash and all these characters in one game, they would make a Justice League game.
I actually disagree. Here's why. We're speaking of it being a prototype for, basically this game being a prototype for the Justice League game that they wanted to make, but they weren't able to because it's very complicated, and they're using Suicide Squad as a test because it's easier to make games with these characters because they're not as powerful. I think that a great way to prototype them is actually having a gameplay segment where you play as them for 5 minutes in a limited cutscene type of element.
I could see that. If it's a very limited, like if you play as Superman and it's in a very linear area and you get to test out the powers cars. Yeah, that would be one thing.
See, that's what I think they're gonna do. I think they're gonna do that.
But from like the idea of like, oh, maybe we'll get to free roam as Superman. No, that's not gonna be.
No. I agree, but I do think that there is a strong possibility that we will be playing as Superman because, as you mentioned, this game is basically a prototype for Justice League. It's a prototype for Superman. Superman is their dream game, not Suicide Squad. The reason they're making this game is twofold. One, a new Suicide Squad movie comes out next year. A new Justice League movie does not, excluding the Snyder Cut, which is not really a movie. It's a new cut of a movie that we saw in 2017. So you're basically pairing this to a movie, which WB loves to do. Of course, Batman Arkham Asylum came out in 2009. Batman, that game came out in 2009. Like I said, The Dark Knight came out in 2008. Batman Arkham City came out in 2011. The Dark Knight came out in 2012. So they love to pair these games to cinematic movie releases and other like marketing tent poles. You know, that's a big thing that WB always likes to do. Yep. So going off of that, that's one reason that they made the game. The other reason is as Jake, I think, correctly noted, that it's very difficult to make a Justice League game, and this is a nice sort of test run to see, can we do this? Can we make a game with Killer Croc and Harley Quinn and Deadshot? And if we can probably make a game where you switch between playing as Superman and playing as Batman and playing as the Flash, which is much more difficult to make. And and even to just make Superman is much more difficult to make than all 7 Suicide Squad playable characters combined. Because he's so complicated, so OP. Yeah. That type of thing. So, going off of that, I do foresee them actually including some minor gameplay elements of the Justice League. Particularly, as I mentioned, if we're doing this like Batman is lost at sea and he's hiding from the world, and I could see us basically playing as a old Batman too for a couple moments. So getting back in the Batman Arkham gameplay, and also playing as the Flash in some moments. Like imagine if we cut to it and we're playing as the Flash, and we're like saving the city and this and as he said, a pretty structured scene, no free roam, but we're just kind of like QTEs, a little bit of combat. And then we cut back to the Justice League, and then we take care of the Suicide Squad. We take care of business to kill the Flash. Notice that the website registered, URL registered by Warner Brothers is Suicide Squad killthejusticeleague.com. So that is the main plot of the game. The Suicide Squad is trying to kill the Justice League, and that is the game in and of itself. That is the main plot.
Maybe there will be challenge maps. Like maybe there will be a challenge map where you can play as Superman and it's like 5 minutes. How many guys can you take out in 5 minutes as Superman or something? They could do something like that.
That would be really interesting. That would be very, very interesting. And I'm just curious to see what they do with it. I'm going to use the restroom really quick. We're going to go for another 5 to 10 minutes if that's cool with you. And so I'm going to take a quick break. We'll do 10 minutes. We'll do 10 more minutes. I'm going to take a quick break, and I'll be right back. And feel free to interact with the chat and see what's going on with them or whatever. And I will be right back.
Yeah, let me pull that up really quick. I'm going to take this brief moment to self-promote. My channel is Irogen, and you can go subscribe. And I'm really close to being monetized. And so if you want to go over and subscribe and watch a few of my videos, then I would be absolutely honored. Let's look through the chat really quickly. Let's see if there's any good questions really quick. Do you think there will be any merch like Funko Pops, shirts, action figures? Oh, absolutely. The Arkham games were absolutely known for that. You could buy tons of action figures, and this was even Arkham Origins, which was arguably of lesser interest to Warner Brothers. Merchandise is a huge deal. People love it. So yes, there will definitely be Hot Toys, action figures, Hot Wheels. So we're going to see a lot in terms of that. So I'm really excited. Do you think it will be in the Arkham universe or a different one? We kind of already addressed that. I personally think that there's a good chance it will be kind of a soft reboot where it doesn't necessarily acknowledge the events of the previous games, but I do think that it could connect in some degree, or it could be a full-on reboot. We'll have to wait and see. I think that there's potential for either. Do you think we'll get Shark or Croc? That's a good one. I honestly do not know. I think that both of the characters are probably on par in regards to popularity. So you could see either of those.
I have returned.
The king has come back.
Everyone, make sure that you subscribe to Irgen. I heard as I was leaving that he was.
I self-promoted on your stream. So.
I'm happy that you did. I really want everyone to go subscribe to Jake. I'm going to link his channel down below. He's already linked because I added his name. So if you look in the description, his name is Blue. So you just click on his blue name and it takes you to his channel. But he's getting close to 2K. He's about to have monetization on. That is great. And hopefully, once he gets monetization on, we can support him more and allow him to get working there, making more content. So definitely support Jake because his content has been great and his content has been absolutely fantastic. Been posting very good. How often have you been posting?
Recently it's been at least daily, and yesterday and today I've done double uploads. I'm really trying to get in that algorithm, so.
That's a smart idea. It's smart.
Yeah.
Thank you for subbing to him. Thank you. Okay, so here's one last question that I wanted to ask you before we wrap up, and like I said, we'll go for about 10 more minutes. So there's plenty of time to send in your questions if you have any more questions that you'd like to ask Jake and I. There's plenty of time to do so. Yep. I'm curious to know, what do you think about the marketing decision? So I was watching Game Over Greggy's thing. What's their group called? Kind of Funny Games.
Kind of Funny.
And they were talking about how they were very underwhelmed by the marketing approach for this game by just announcing it with a tweet after so many years of silence. Yeah. I'm curious to know what you think about that. Are you happy with the way that this game has been promoted and announced?
Let's also look at, I don't know, because he blocked you, but our good old pal Jason Schreier also was poking fun at Rocksteady. He's like, haha, that's how you're going to announce it after 5 years. And he was being this bitch about it. And I'm like, dude,
well, Jason Schreier's an idiot.
Yeah, he really is. And so I'm going to be honest. I actually don't mind this announcement. I think that it's infinitely more exciting just because Superman is on it. And we know when we're going to see more of it at DC Fandom, which is 2 weeks away. And for all we know, next week we could get a similar poster with The Flash. And I think that's infinitely more interesting than Warner Brothers Games Montreal's approach of we're going to tease these cryptic symbols that you can guess what they are, but you don't really know what they are, and we'll never tell you when you're going to see more of it. And so I personally am okay with it. Would I have liked to see maybe a 20-second teaser? Yes, obviously. But I also think that it's very smart of them to say when the announcement is going to be. And I'm not quite sure why people are so upset about that. Because, again, we know when we're going to see more of it. And this will drive so much traffic to DC Fandom as well. Because now, not only do we know that we're going to see more of what movies we're going to see, we also know now we are for sure going to get a Suicide Squad game announcement as well. And then when people are there, we're also going to get some big surprise Batman reveal. So I think that it's smart on their part. Would I have liked to see more? Sure. But just due to the leaks and everything, official confirmation is all that I needed. Yeah.
No, I get you on that. I mean, the great benefit of it is as you said, you kind of get to avoid those leaks because I could have foreseen that image getting leaked, 8 days before DC Fandom, and that would have been really shitty. And there's no harm in doing so. I mean, it doesn't really tell us much. It just, all these things have already been leaked. I mean, you can go watch a video on my channel from over a year ago that's they're making a Suicide Squad game. So, I mean, this has been a secret exactly. And of course, Jason Schreier, he's just a complete idiot. I mean, he is, wow, what a guy. I mean, literally, he doesn't even understand. I mean, this is the leaker guy. This is the guy who even leaked the fact that the game was existing in the first place. He's like, well, I've known all along. Yeah, I've known for several years. I've known for so many years. And it's like, no, you haven't, because we can look at your track record, and what you do is every time you know anything, you praise it to you make an exclusive piece, get all the clicks and views you can get, and there's no evidence at all that you sit on stuff. So what he tries to do when he doesn't know anything, what he does is
he says he knows it, and then when it's announced, he's like, yep, I knew that's what it was going to be.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how he sounds too. Yeah. Oh my God, what a fucking dweeb. I mean, that guy is such
I know what Rocksteady's working on, but I respect them too much, and I'm also not really sure what they're working on.
He's such a fucking clown. Oh my god. Don't even get me started on Jason Schreier. He's blocked literally everyone, and evidently people that are even associated with me are getting blocked by him now. Because I made a tweet about him yesterday. Hey, thank you for the £2 from Rory. We'll get to your question in just 1 second. Yeah, it's just like even the God, he's such an idiot. Okay, I'm moving on. Rory with the £2 donation. Should Gotham Knights and Suicide Squad be in the same universe for the DC Games universe? So the tricky thing about this is that Gotham Knights is going to be in its own universe. So Suicide Squad can do one of three things. It can be a part of the Gotham Knights universe. It can be a part of the Batman Arkham universe, or it can be in its own universe. Now, I think that the third is the worst option. Like doing the multiverse thing where none of these games are connected at all is the worst option. And it's not what Rocksteady has done up to this point. They've done they've been very focused on the canon. Now, of course, the comics and Arkham Origins screwed with that, but their three trilogy games are very, very intertwined with the canon. Okay.
Yep.
They take that very seriously. So I anticipate it's going to be a part of the Batman Arkham games, which means that W Montreal is going to be over there building their own world. But I don't know that Gotham Knights can exist a part of the Batman Arkham universe, and this game can. Like, I think that this game is either going to be a bookmark to Arkham Knight or Gotham Knights is, and what we've heard about Gotham Knights is that, it's its own game. And it's kind of its own universe. It's a soft reboot of the Arkham game. So my guess is W Montreal is building their own Batman Arkham trilogy, basically. Their version of a Batman trilogy. They tried it with Arkham Origins. They're like, no, we don't really like living in Rocksteady's shadow. We want to try to do our own thing, which I think is the right move for them to do.
Yeah.
So I think that Gotham Knights is going to be in its own universe, and then the Rocksteady games are going to be a part of their own. That's going to be the DC Universe canon. And they tried making W Montreal a part of Rocksteady's canon, and it just didn't work. Like it was the weakest game of the series. It didn't sell. It was the worst selling game. It just didn't work. Like, I think creatively they didn't like it. They probably felt handcuffed in terms of what they could do. And we want W Montreal to have the same level of creative freedom that Rocksteady had. We want them to be able to do crazy things like kill the Joker and do these other things that they weren't able to do in Origins because they were handcuffed by the Batman Arkham games. The fact of it is, if they make a sequel to Arkham Knight, a prequel to Arkham Asylum, it doesn't matter what they do. They're handcuffed by what Rocksteady's done, because it's like, okay, let's say you're doing a prequel to Arkham Asylum. Well, we can't kill this character because he shows up in Arkham Asylum. Oh, we can't do this because this is how Arkham Knight ends, whatever. There are all kinds of limitations. So even though it might seem like the best idea to have them all in one universe, it really isn't. The best thing for them to do is to let them loose, let Rocksteady build upon the great work that they've been doing, and just let them kind of do their own thing and take their own course.
See, and I think that the great thing about that is we won't have to wait too long to figure out exactly, and that's what's going to be so great about fandom, I think, is that even with this announcement, there's still so many unanswered questions. Is it in the Arkham universe? Is it in the Gotham Knights universe? What's going on? And I think at DC fandom, they'll really clarify that. It'll be like, oh, yeah, so this one's a continuation of Arkham, and this one is a new take on Batman. Or it'll be, this year experience Gotham Knights, and then next year we're going to expand this universe with Suicide Squad and introduce you to all of Batman's rogues and to the larger Justice League. And so I think it'll be really great at DC fandom, because we'll get that, but also we'll see like why the Suicide Squad is fighting the Justice League, or at least we'll get hints as to why that's the case, and we'll get hints to what this Batman game is really about beyond just knowing basically that it has the Court of Owls in it. So that, I think, is when we'll really have a lot to talk about. And I don't know, I know that you're going to be at a wedding that day, and that's the one day that my extended family decided that we're going to go do family pictures.
Oh, no way.
So Salvo and Jay, you guys got to cover us. You got to
come in clutch. I mean,
yeah, seriously.
Yeah, I mean, after that day, then it's going to be like a couple months of silence anyway. Or not silence with Batman.
Not necessarily for Batman, but
yeah,
for Suicide
exactly.
Squad.
For Suicide Squad.
We're going to get some details, but then, yeah, it's going to be pretty dead. It's kind of going to be like Spider-Man, I think.
Yeah. And my video is going to be a day late, so it's not that bad. Like, I'll still upload videos Saturday night, or Sunday night. It just won't be on Saturday. Yeah. Although it does kind of suck because I don't know how it's going to work. It's like a 24-hour fan experience thing. And like, I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to be able to access anything. So I don't know. Someone's going to need to like thoroughly examine everything about the whole freaking website and the whole I mean, surely they're gonna make everything available online afterwards, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think they're saying it's a 24-hour thing, but I feel like
I believe it's only 8-hour increments for like different time zones or something. So I think it's like technically 24 hours that it's available, but really the show itself is only like 8 hours or something.
and I'm feeling like those panels, they're gonna be, they're not just gonna be like, oh, 8 hours, oh, you missed it. You know, I feel like
Yeah,
they're gonna upload a lot of them. You know.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, of course, even if not, I mean, there's going to be screen grabs, and it's basically, I think, pretty much just DC's Comic-Con, an exclusive DC Comic-Con. That's basically what it is.
Which is great, and that's what proves that all the leaks that are anything that mentions Harry Potter being there is fake.
Yeah.
Fake. Harry Potter is not going to be there.
I agree.
So don't even listen to that.
Yep.
Okay, guys, we're going to wrap it up there. We had a ton of viewers this stream, so I really appreciate everyone tuning in. This VOD is going to be up, so you can watch it whenever. If you missed any parts of the stream, just be sure to tune in and feel free to watch that. And I really hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Jake, thank you so much for coming on. Everyone, I thoroughly encourage you.
Thanks so much for having me.
I thoroughly encourage everyone to subscribe to Jake on YouTube. As I said, link in the description. You can just check him out through, I added him in the description. Just click on his blue name. It takes you right to his channel. Highly, highly recommend it. And we'll be doing collabs throughout the future, and especially with the Gotham Knights really picking up steam here. And yep. I myself gained over 100 followers yesterday on Twitter. So the Gotham Knights, I just checked, and they our account gained like 50 followers in one day. So things are really going to explode, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So thank you so much, Enter. Thank you for all the compliments, and I really hope you guys enjoyed the stream. And I can't wait to be making more videos for you later. And I'll see all my members. See you guys in the members only video tomorrow. And otherwise, see you guys on the Anonymous Throwdown podcast tomorrow. Lots of great stuff coming your way. Be sure to stay tuned to all the content. See you guys then.